Hi, my name is Janet Travers. I'm with the San Diego Writers and Editors Guild, and we are interviewing one of the wonderful authors of our anthology. Good luck with that. Let me just say hello to Eileen. Hi, Eileen.
Hi. Hi, Janet. It's good to be here.
You are in San Diego. Go Padres.
Well, the Padres, we're going to a game on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah? All right. I
Yeah.
love going to that venue. It's the most fun. So I think I'll jump around a little bit if you don't mind. I loved your story.
Thank you.
Kandinsky defying the odds.
Yeah, I actually have two, Kandinsky and also the Franz Marc, An Artist in War.
Oh, I didn't see the other one. I'm sorry. That's okay because we could just do one at a time. The line that I thought was amazing, but unlike any other portrait, this one was a watercolor of her voice. Where did that come from? That is an incredible line. It's a beautiful line. Where'd you
Um,
get the idea for that?
well, it's a truth. The woman he married, he first met her on the phone and he fell in love with her voice. And he drew a watercolor. He painted a watercolor of her voice. Kandinsky had a number of women in his life, but this one, I guess he fell in love with her voice and drew the painting. They stayed married for a long time until his death.
It's just very striking. I like it very much. I think everyone else will also. You write historical fiction?
What I submitted for the anthology were two short stories of historical fiction about two artists that were in the Blue Rider. They were a German expressionist artist in the 20th century.
And the published work, I see a short story, literary journal, research, medical journals. What's that about?
Well, I'm a recently retired physician, so my previous writing has been manuscript writing for medical research, which needs to be very concise and to the point, which I think helps me with short stories better than with fiction. I retired and I just decided to use the other side of my brain and just wanted to. I've always had an interest in art and wanted to explore writing about artists and historical fiction and
Oh,
a few other things.
the theme for this story that goes into this 13th edition of the San Diego Writers and Editors Guild anthology. Good luck, or is it? How does your story fit the theme?
I thought it was a great fit because Kandinsky had to escape Russia during the Russian Revolution and the rise of Stalin because of his belief in freedom of expression. And he went to Germany. And then in Germany, with the rise of Hitler, he had to escape the Nazis who were destroying his art. And what was really amazing was that he thought he could escape and go to Paris. And we know that the war came to Paris, France as well. And so he had the luck of escaping, but the bad luck of not going far enough.
That does fit it beautifully. How do you approach developing characters in a short story format?
Well, I think a short story, I'm certainly not a pro. These are my first two serious short stories.
Wow.
Um, so I think the approach is to really concentrate. You have to really narrow it down to one main character, your protagonist. And then, I think the other characters are more supportive for that protagonist, kind of bring out the character's personality and conflicts and work through the difficulties.
Mm.
So just really one supportive character makes it a little easier, actually, than writing a giant novel.
Yeah, you have to keep track of them. What challenges do you face when creating impactful stories in short?
Well, I'm actually probably better at the short story because from the medical writing, I've had to be very concise and right to the point. So I think with a short story, you need to be quicker. You need to get to the point. You need to sort of build the climax quickly and throw in the surprise and have a little twist at the end.
Do you have a favorite short story that you've written between the two?
Since these are just my first two, these are my favorite. I certainly have other favorite. My favorite author for short stories is O. Henry, which is just
Oh,
oh my gosh, she's so amazing. The Gift of the Magi is like a perfect example. So if I could kind of follow that, his algorithm or whatever, his lead, I could write some fun short stories hopefully in the future.
at a yard sale, got 12 or 15 adorable red beat up books of O. Henry. I read most of them. Let's go right to the San Diego Writers and Editors Guild. Why do you enjoy being a member of the guild?
Oh, it's really been fantastic for me. It's really given me a home as a beginner writer. I've been able to participate in writing festivals. It's connected me with writing groups. It's critiqued my first 10 pages of my manuscript. It offers marketing workshops, networking with other authors. Now it's published my first two short stories, and now I'm getting interviewed. So it's been terrific for me.
How did you find out about it and how long have you been a part of the guild?
Oh, how did I find out about it? I think I might have just been searching. I moved back to San Diego. I was just looking for writers groups. So it must have been on the website. Then I think it was Marty. She was the previous president. And it was so nice. She actually called and invited me to a luncheon. I was just like, wow, oh, this is really nice. I got to meet, Marty, and she kind of got me involved in things and met some other writers. It was just very nice. It seems like it's a small enough community to help everyone be engaged in it.
And that's how you got into a critique group or a writers group?
Well, the writers group, I think I was on one of the Zoom meetings and somebody who was actually Penn Wallace put in, I'm looking for some folks to join a writers group. And I typed in, sure, I'd be interested. And I got a call to join that one. And I got connected in with another one. So one that meets every week and another one that meets once a month. It's been fun. It's two different kinds of groups, which makes it very interesting and very, very helpful for my writing. And I learn a lot from their writing. It's hard to be a writer without having a writers group. I think it's really helpful.
Do you have to have something prepared every week for your weekly?
For the weekly, we all have something prepared. For the monthly, we rotate it. So it's just every other month that I have to have something prepared. But since I have something weekly for the other group, I'm pretty on top of it.
It sounds like something must have been bubbling in you to become an author. Did you just write a little bit your whole life and now you are going for it and completing short stories?
Well, I always loved writing when I was in high school and college. I've always taken literature and writing courses. Medicine and family sort of put that on the back burner for a while until I was working at Penn State and one of the humanities professors started a physician's writing group. It's just spectacular. The folks that write in that are just really write some great stuff. I've been involved in that for quite a while. I have nonfiction things that I've had on the back burner. But when I retired, I had this sound that always bothered me for the last couple of decades was an episode that happened with my daughter, which was way back in first grade. She was drawing a picture and she drew a purple cow and some bluegrass. And the teacher corrected her and said, cows are brown and grass is green. It just felt like she was squashing her creativity a little bit. I started out wanting to write a children's book entitled Can Cows Be Purple? And as I researched the artist, and especially Franz Marc, if you know any of his work, he's just amazing. He paints animals, whatever color, and many colors. But as I researched it, I found that I had so much more to say than could be said in a children's book. So I wrote a middle grade book, but then I was throwing in adult chapters. And my writers group has really helped me with that and a couple of classes to sort of separate what's adult and what's middle grade. I'm now separating into two books, and I'll have a middle grade book and an adult book.
Wow, that's pretty great.
Once the imagination gets going, it really gets going, but then you need to stay within the confines of what will get published.
Do you incorporate art into all of your works? The two stories in the anthology do. So in your other works, do you include art?
Absolutely. So these short stories are actually chapters that I've deleted from my current middle grade book. I kind of remolded them into a short story. My middle grade book is about a boy that meets a German exchange student and they time travel. She's not just a German exchange student, she's from the 20th century. And then she introduces him to the Blue Rider artists. And then he gets involved through their paintings in their struggles and lives. The next book took out the adult chapters from the Blue Rider middle grade book. I found that the life of August Mack, he's one of the Blue Rider artists, his wife, Elizabeth, had well, they all had an amazing life. There's just so much turmoil during the 20th century. And her bravery really saved a lot of the Blue Rider art from being destroyed. So I'm thinking of my next book to be The Women Who Saved the Art. There are a few wives. Elizabeth Mack, Gabrielle Munter was a significant other of Kandinsky, Maria Franz. They're amazing women that without them, I don't think we'd have that art today.
So this is just an interest you've had for a long time. You know a bit about art.
My daughter has become an artist, and that would have been what I would have done if I had gone to medicine. But my parents were like, there's no way you're going to get a job and make some money. But when my children were growing up, they never had an art teacher. There wasn't a specified art teacher in their schools. So I always went in to teach art and art techniques and artists all through their grade schools. And it's kind of kept me going. It's been fun.
You got your fingers in a lot of different pots. I mean, you were talking the middle age book, middle grade book. How many do you have going right now? Have you gone through the first draft of a couple of your ideas?
Well, this first book that I'm writing, the middle grade book, it's embarrassing to say how many drafts I've been through. I won't even say. But I've definitely learned that there's a method to the madness of writing. And I probably need to be a little less of a pantser and a little bit more of a plotter. It would probably save me a lot of time. Hopefully, my next book will be a little quicker. But this one, yes, I think I finally have it narrowed down to where I want it to be. And I think this week I'm going to start sending it out to agents. I want to see this one completed and published before I start delving into the next one. But I already have so many chapters that I've deleted that I know I can use in my next book.
That's perfect. Congratulations on perhaps definitely finishing it.
Well, congratulations are in order if it gets published.
Ah, story of our lives. So you're a pantser, not a plotter.
I am a pantster, yeah.
I'm
But
gonna-
there's just so much that I have to put back together, organize it. I think you need to be a mixture. There needs to be some plotting in the panstering.
It sounds like you excess writing or information or ideas to move on to the next project. You're not squeezing blood out of a turnip and you're not dried up.
Yeah, it's amazing. As you start writing, more ideas come and it just kind of leads into the next. It's really good fun.
That's what's like, not just my opinion, but the more I've been having fun doing these interviews, I don't know if there's so much wrong with this pantster. I don't like the word, by the way. I'll think of a new one. Because one thing leads to another. You make yourself laugh at one joke, all right? Or you might get a purple cow, and then that's going to lead to, I don't know, a violet colored pig or whatever. But if you hadn't come up with that, how would you really know how to plot all that? You know? What do you think? Sounds like a natural progression.
Well, I think it's good to, if you have ideas, just get them on paper and then you need to organize.
So when you're at the end of your day, well, end of your writing day, how do you feel? Are you happy, elated, exhausted, tired?
It's so funny writing fiction because I just get into the characters and the story. So even after I put it down, when I go to sleep at night, I'm still thinking about the characters and the story, and it kind of stays with you. I go for a run and I'm still thinking about, what's the next thing that's going to happen to this character. Kind of stays with you when you write consistently.
Maybe you are plotting anyway. You keep thinking about it. And then when you get down to it, maybe it just comes together. Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
so do you write, you knock it out in a couple hours? How does that, what's your routine?
No, I'm still involved in a lot of things in my life. So, everyone says you need to write every day. And things go so much smoother if you do sit down and write every day. I try to write, set away 2 hours first thing in the morning. But sometimes I get so into it, it's like 5, 6 hours later. I'm like, oh my goodness, I gotta get out of this chair. I'm getting so stiff. But then there's also some times where and I need to put it down for a couple of days. I have other things that need my attention. And then you come back and you read it again. And that's actually helpful too. I don't know. That's my method. I'm just a novice writer though. And yeah, I think real writers just do every day for sure and keep the juices flowing.
Seems like everybody's different. Not that I know a whole bunch, but again, whatever works. What do you hope readers will take away from this story, both your stories?
Actually, the stories in the anthology and the novel I'm writing really have the same message. And really that it's not easy to speak out against the crowd. There may be some unpleasant consequences doing it, but you'll be stronger for it. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Stand up for what you believe. I mean, all the artists did that, and the characters in my story learned how to do that. Stand up for what you believe is right and just, even if it means challenging the status quo. It may be hard, but then you'll become a leader and not a follower.
What makes these stories important right now? Do you think in 2025? I'll just leave it at that.
This is a theme that's important, has always been important throughout history. I mean, if you look at our heroes like George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, I mean, these are all people that really, stood up for what they thought was right and just. They suffered consequences from it, but without them, our world would be so much less, so it's so much better. I'd love to infuse this in children as they're growing so that they can sort of develop this attitude as they go through life.
That is very important. What are your favorite books? You have some favorite authors and books?
I love some classics. I can't tell you how many times I read To Kill a Mockingbird. Love that story. Another one, like way back, is historical fiction. I love historical fiction. So, Tale of Two Cities by Dickens. I just loved For Whom the Bell Tolls by Hemingway. Great, great books. Childhood books. I think that my favorite childhood books would be A Wrinkle in Time, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Isn't really a childhood book. I actually incorporated that into my novel. I referenced that. Some recent books that I thought were great were The Book Thief and All the Light You Cannot See. I guess I like books that make me think. I learn something about life, about history, and, make me cry at the end.
Did you grow up with a lot of books around you in your house? Do you have a lot of readers in your family, perhaps?
Just readers. My mom was a math teacher. My dad was an engineer. As a kid, my mom used to kick us out of the house every morning and say, go to the bakery, pick up the dessert for the week, and stop by the library and bring home some books.
I want to go to the bakery part. What do you mean? Pick up.
I grew up in Brooklyn, so there's this bakery, Ebinger's. My mother loved the crumb cakes, and so every Saturday that was the kids' job to walk up to the bakery and buy the crumb cake for the week.
It is the best though. I grew up in New York and the crumb cake is this much crumb, this much cake, right? Was there anything specific that inspired you to become a writer? It sounds like it's maybe percolating for a long time and you're good,
Oh, wow, thank you. I need to find a publisher to say that too.
you know,
But
because this way it goes. But go ahead. Go ahead.
you go through life, and actually, I must have met thousands of people. I've heard such intimate stories, and I used to come walking away going, you couldn't even make this up.
Mm.
So I have all those stories from all those people, and I have like all the stories from my 5 kids through their childhood, and even, my own childhood and my own life. Seems like there's just so much there. There's just so much to say. I'd love now that I have the time to just put it down in words and organize it into something that makes sense.
A journal? Did you take little notes?
In the physicians writing group, we write our experiences in medicine. So yeah, I have a whole collection of stuff. That was sort of my next thought, putting together a collection of my experiences, a wife, a mother, a physician, a patient, a daughter. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
That sounds very interesting. It really does. What are the difficulties, perhaps? What do you find difficult in the writing process?
Uh, well, you can write, not always good. I'd have to say the difficulties are the revision,
Oh,
Initially, they're enjoyable, but there's a point where it's like, I got to stop revising and just get this out. I would say one of the more painful parts is just the constant revisions.
when you're with your writing group, do you have those times where all of a sudden they might say to you, this doesn't make sense? It doesn't tie into, do they really help you that way? Like new eyes on your project where you go, oh crap, I thought that was clear.
Absolutely. Oh, especially the one writing group, they do not hold back. As one of the group members said, okay, just rip off the band-aid fast. They will tell you exactly like, this is such a snooze. I don't want to hear Art 101. This is not advancing the plot, or they'll tell you like, this was a really fun part, keep this in. Very honest. They've been really, really helpful.
Well, it's better than just saying, yeah, I don't know, but I don't know about the snooze part. That's pretty rough. That's comparable with, I just don't get the point. Why bother? That's a good one.
Yeah, well, when I was starting to get into the artists, and they're just like, honestly, Eileen, middle grade doesn't want to hear all this. So that's coming out. I'll readjust.
If you could tell your younger writing self anything, what would it be? Would you started writing earlier as you were becoming a physician? Well, if you could do both at the same time and have 5 children.
Absolutely. I wish I started writing earlier, but I went into an academic medical center, and you have to do research. And I think maybe that has helped. And that's certainly organized writing. I have many medical manuscripts, which I think has helped my fiction writing. And that requires plotting. That is not panstering at
Oh,
all.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that kind of hurts with fiction writing is you don't put in all the senses in your medical writing, right? You don't feel and see and breathe and smell the environment that you're trying to portray. And so it's so much more descriptive in fiction writing, which is actually exciting because it's fun to try this out.
Do you run through the senses in your head, perhaps when you're writing, like, let's add in a smell or the touch?
Absolutely, I do. I sort of run through the 5 sentences and go like, all right, which ones can I actually sort of put in here that will improve the sense that the reader is in the book. I don't put smell in that often. Occasionally.
Well, how does your family feel about your writing? Have you shown your writing to your friends and family?
Yeah, but they're always so nice. Nobody wants to hurt each other. So friends are always great, but uh, you need somebody that's unbiased and will just give it to you straight. My family, my kids have read a couple of the first versions. They're like, Mom, just publish this thing and leave me alone. They've read it a few times now. My husband's always super helpful. And, he's also a physician, so he can really take out, like, this is way too wordy. Always very helpful.
Do you ever feel like you have writer's block?
Not yet, but I've only read, I've only read one novel. No, not yet. Not yet. I still got so many ideas twirling around in my head.
I don't know if you should say only one novel. I don't know. Don't undersell yourself. That's a big accomplishment.
No, I've written a bunch of essays and more about my personal experiences. Those have been published in other journals.
Jumping to the classes that we have online at San Diego Writers and Editors Guild, do you find them helpful? The marketing?
Absolutely. I sort of stopped doing the marketing till I at least got an H. But there's all kinds of classes and speakers that talk to you about how to develop a character, how to develop your plot. It's crazy helpful, super helpful. I'm so lucky to have fallen into this group, SDWEG.
Eileen, was there a particular piece of art that inspired your two stories?
Well, when you write about the artist, you can't write about their lives without looking at their art. When I write historical fiction about the artist, I pull up their art. And actually, on one side of my screen, I may have a piece of artwork. And on the other side, I'm writing. And I'm looking at the artwork as I'm writing, trying to give my sort of interpretation or my feel or what's going on inside that piece of work. And the two short stories in the anthology, I think I referenced the piece of work that Kandinsky did of his wife about her voice. And actually, when I was writing that, I had that piece of artwork on my screen in front of me and was thinking about that and feeling that as I wrote. And in Franz Marc's short story, I referenced a piece of work called Paradise and I was looking at that as I wrote this because Franz Marc and August Mack painted that together. And it was like a true brotherhood. They were like brothers in art. And they painted that just before they both went off to war. And they both died in the war. So I thought about that in the story and incorporated that as Franz writing a letter to his wife saying, it's amazing that we just painted this picture of paradise and the two of us will be there together soon. So I always incorporate the actual artwork into my writing. Yeah.
That's very inspirational, especially I'm visualizing you the painting on one side of the screen and you're writing on that. Well, this has been a pure joy for me to talk to you, Eileen Hennrikus, and I hope to meet you in person someday.
Thank you, Janet, and thank you for interviewing me, and thank you to SDWEG, and thank you to the anthology. It's really been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Enjoy your Padres game.
Go Padres.
All right, bye bye.
All right, bye. Thank you.